Upasate sarvatra gamachintyam cha kutastam achalam dhruvam sanniyam yendriya gramam sarvatra samabhuddayah te prapnavanti mameva sarvabhuta hiterataha. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perceptual senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed, and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth. By controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons, engaged in the welfare of all, at last achieve me. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai. It's at the next fifth verse also. Right. क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्ता सक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखम् देहवद्भिरवाप्यते. Translation by Divine Vishnu Prabhupada ki jai. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada ki jai. So, very wonderful chapter, devotional service. In fact, this is the chapter we should always be thorough with, especially 12th and 15th chapters. 12th is very important because it speaks about devotional service. See, after hearing the 11th chapter, Arjuna, he heard, no, we also heard Krishna's, this impersonal opulences, right? So Arjuna now, he wants to again hear about the devotional service in the 12th chapter. See, in verse number 1 up to verse number 7, we can see it is said that Bhakti is superior to the impersonalism. You know what happens? The worshipper of the impersonal feature. What are the characteristics of a person who worships the impersonal feature? First, he is less perfect. He is not perfect. He is less perfect. And moreover, he undergoes so much of difficulty, right? Difficulty more than the one who worships Krishna directly with faith and attention. Whereas the path of devotion is recommended because it is not only easier to follow, okay, but also Krishna personally takes charge of delivering his devotees. This is importance. So the first verse of this 12th chapter, Arjuna wants to clarify with Krishna as to which is more perfect. Those who always properly engage in devotional service, or the worshippers of the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested. See, he wants to get it clarified. Those who are doing devotional service, or the one who is worshipping the impersonal Brahman. So in the second verse, Krishna answers, those engaged in devotional service are most perfect. And he says, why? Because, one, they fix their minds on my personal form. And two, they always engage in worshipping me. And three, they worship me with great and transcendental faith. So Krishna answers that devotional service is the best, it's the most perfect, because they fix their mind on my personal form. And they're always engaging me, worshipping me. And they worship me with faith and great determination. So Arjuna is very happy. He's happy to hear that devotional service is superior. But he still has some doubt. So he's wondering, what is the attainment of an impersonalist? So why is he doing impersonalism? What is his attainment? Because he's renouncing work, he is able to fully worship the unmanifested. What does he attain by that? See, those who worship the unmanifested, they will also reach Krishna eventually, right? And then surrender. In 7.19 Bhagavad-gītā says, Vasudevam sarvayamiti sa mahatma sa durlabha. Right? Bhavanam janmanamante, 7.19 Bhagavad-gītā says. After many, many births, you'll come and ultimately surrender to Krishna. So the characteristics of this impersonal conception of absolute truth, very nicely given in the purport which you read just now. I mean, actually the translation is given. He says characteristics of impersonal conception is that they are unmanifested. They are beyond the sense perception. They are all pervading. They are inconceivable, unchanging, fixed, and immovable. So how to worship the unmanifested? That is also given. He says, by controlling our various senses. by being equally disposed to everyone, by engaging in welfare for all. See, difficult for any common man because much penance is involved before the ultimate realization of full surrender takes place. So many steps has to be followed. So Prabhupada in one of the lectures, he says, by concentrating one's mind upon Krishna, one is able to know the absolute truth completely. Otherwise, it's not possible. So impersonal Brahma Jyotir or the localized Paramatma, these two realizations, it's not perfect knowledge of the absolute truth because it is partial. Full and scientific knowledge of Krishna is that everything, when you are completely surrendered to Krishna, everything is revealed to the person in Krishna consciousness. So in complete Krishna consciousness, one knows that Krishna is the ultimate knowledge and there is no doubt about it. See, different types of yogas they are only the stepping stones on the path of Krishna consciousness. One who takes directly to Krishna consciousness automatically knows about the Brahma Jyotir and also the Paramatma in full. Paramatma, right? But if you turn your attention to the impersonal and to the super soul in the heart, as the yogis do, then it is very difficult. You cannot fix your attention to the impersonal. Just light, no impersonal, the emphasis of the Krishna. See, in the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated, Klesho adhikatara tesham avyakta sakta chetasam, 5th verse we lost. So those who are attached to the impersonal feature of the absolute truth, their business is very troublesome. It is not like chanting, dancing, eating, right? Very troublesome. And even if you speculate on the impersonal, the result that is achieved by working very hard for many, many lives is that you'll have to eventually come to Krishna. So why take so much? If they see there is a lift and there is a steps, which is better, right? So the impersonal, they are following the steps one by one. It takes a longer time to reach top. Whereas the lift, it takes you straight to Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada continued describing Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he was giving evidence from scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, and also from Brahma Samhita. See, the first step in spiritual life, Prabhupada explained, was to hear from Krishna himself. But Prabhupada, he was also warning that if someone heard the class, right, and then went outside and forgot, he said he can never improve. You have to hear and put it into your inside, not from here to here, outside. So, see, very practical points Prabhupada has given. He says, whatever you are hearing, you should say to others. Now, hearing something today, just now, you have to convey to others. And Prabhupada gave an example of how his disciples were writing in Back to Godhead magazine what they heard from their spiritual master. So, to speak or write what one has heard, to do that, person has to be thinking, thoughtful. See, Prabhupada says, you are hearing about Krishna and you have to think now. Then only you can speak. Then you have to speak. Otherwise, it will not work. So hear, think, write, speak. So, Shrotavya Kirtitavyasya Dheya Pujyascha. And you should worship. So therefore, for worshipping, you look at this deity, right? For worshipping. So we have to think, we have to speak, we have to hear, we have to worship. Pujyascha. And we should do this only occasionally. Prabhupada says, no, nityada, regularly. Nityam bhagavata sevaya. Regularly, this is the process. Every day. So anyone who adopts this process, Prabhupada says he can understand the absolute truth. So he says this is a clear declaration of Srimad Bhagavatam. See, it is also explained in Bhagavad Gita that the impersonal Brahman is also subordinate to the complete Supreme Person. See, Brahman is more very nicely explained in the Brahma Sutra to be like the rays of the sunshine. It actually is Brahman. It's the sunshine. The sun is there. The rays are there, right? So, impersonal Brahman is the shining rays of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And impersonal Brahman is incomplete realization of absolute whole, right? And so also is the conception of Paramatma. in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it shall be seen that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Purushottama, is above both the impersonal Brahman and the partial realization of Paramatma. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead is called Satchid Ananda Vigraha. So the Brahma Samhita begins in this way. Ishvaraha Paramaha Krishnaha Satchid Ananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govindaha Sarva Karana Karanam. Govinda, Krishna, is the cause of all causes. Sarva Karana Karanam. He is the primal cause. And he is the very form of eternity, knowledge and bliss. See, impersonal Brahman, see, now we heard this Sat, Chit and Anand, right? So impersonal Brahman realization is the realization of his Sat, that is eternity. Sat feature. The Paramatma realization is the realization of the Sat, Chit, eternal knowledge. But realization of the personality of God, Krishna, is realization of all the transcendental features, Sat, Chit and Ananda, eternity, knowledge and bliss, in complete Vigraha form. See, in the purport of 11.15.34, Bhagavatam, Prabhupada says, those who give up the process of Bhakti Yoga, he said, those who give up the process of Bhakti Yoga and shop around, shopping, right? We do a lot of shopping. Shop around for other objects of meditation besides Krishna. They are not certain, they are not very, very intelligent. Those who claim to be yogis but pursue the satisfaction of their own senses are certainly called kuyogis or bhogi yogis. Such kuyogis, they cannot understand that just as they have tiny senses, the absolute truth has absolute senses. And they cannot understand that yoga is actually meant to satisfy the absolute senses of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, persons who give up the lotus feet of Krishna in order to pursue so-called happiness in this mystic perfection, I doubt ultimately they will be frustrated. See, by meditating exclusively on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can achieve yoga gati, the ultimate goal of life, ultimate goal of yoga, which means living on Krishna's planet and enjoying spiritual opulences. See, the ultimate goal is Krishna. Because the philosophers who are also sincerely searching after this absolute truth, they come in the end to Krishna consciousness. This is also given in Bhagavad Gita. See, the whole process is to understand the real position of the self in relation to the super self. So indirect process is, what is that? It is philosophical speculation. But gradually, one may come to the point of Krishna consciousness. And the other process is by directly connecting with everything in Krishna consciousness. See, in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, when Krishna had finished explaining about his personal, impersonal, and universal form, and had described the different kinds of devotees and yogis, Arjuna very intelligently asked a question. Right? 12th verse he says, Evam satata yukta ye bhaktastvām paryupasate ye chapyaksharam avyaktam tesham ke yoga vittamaha. Which is considered to be more perfect? Those who are properly engaged in your devotional service or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? So by asking this question, Arjuna is urging Krishna to reveal the topmost yoga. The yoga which has been accepted as topmost by the highly qualified rishis, like Asita, Devala, Vyasa. So the yoga which has been debated upon by impersonalism since time immemorial. So the confusion of which yoga to follow is very clearly defined by Krishna as an answer to Arjuna's question. And that yoga is Bhakti Yoga. See, Bhakti Yoga is only selfless yoga which directs from the self-centeredness towards the pure love for Krishna. There is no tinge of selfishness. It is all seen as pure devotees. So it's rightly said, see, devotees, they don't hanker for bhukti or mukti. See, many are of the opinion that getting rid of birth and death, the cycle means mukti. Devotees hanker only for the service of the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna. And for that sake, they don't even desire for liberation. That is the highest caliber of a pure devout heart, right? A bhakti yogi carries. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in Shikshashtakam, Na dhanam na janam na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye, mama janmani janmanishware, bhavatad bhaktir ahaituki tvayi. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor to enjoy beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. What I want only is the costless mercy of your devotional service in my life, birth after birth. This is Bhakti Yoga, and pure devotees desire for such service only. So, in this connection, Prabhupada he says a very nice, humorous story. See, after many years of penances, no, the yogi returns to his village and shows villagers his acquired siddhi. Now, he is now able to walk on the river. It is called Laghima Siddhi. So, Laghima Siddhi means an acquired skill by which one can walk on water or fly in the air or walk across the fire. So, one villager, after seeing his Laghima Siddhi, he said, you have gained knowledge. It is worth only hardly 1 rupee. Or he says 2 cents only, he might say. Because he is walking on the river and all, after so much of pursuit of all the dhyana and meditation, so many things. The villager, he said, I can cross the river with by the same 2 cents by taking the help of the boat. Nothing special about it. All the villagers, they started laughing. So this happens when we are run behind achievements and get drifted from our real goal of acquiring pure love for Krishna. So whether it is related to improvement of one's economic status, social status, or even academic status, or even attaining yogic powers, right? They are of no value if they are not dedicated in the service of Krishna. Sometimes people try different meditation methods, right? And the different yogas to overcome the anarthas like anger, greed, right? But all such achievements also would not give us ultimate bliss. See, in that struggle of achievement, no, the so-called yogi forgets what his actual purpose is. And that is actually selfless devotion that he forgets. The Bhakti Yoga alone can guarantee us this eternal bliss. And the joy of serving Krishna is above all these achievements. So a very beautiful statement is given by Prabhupada. The day a desire sprouts in the heart that now whatever I have to do is for Krishna alone, that day Bhakti Yoga begins. The day desire sprouts in our heart that now whatever I will be doing, it is for Krishna alone. That day Bhakti Yoga begins. And it has been proved from time to time, right? By all the acharyas we have seen, who gave up everything just for satisfaction of Krishna. See, even today, life can be lived in Bhagavatam way. And Bhagavatam way of living is eternal. And it can be followed no matter how modern the world turns into, right? It can still be followed. So taking dust of the lotus feet of such wonderful devotees, pure devotees, Krishna, Prabhupada, Krishna, on our heads, let us all strive very hard not to follow this Bhakti Yoga with full determination and attempt to desire service to their lordship like Shri Radha Madhav, right? Jagannath Baldev Sudaramai, right? See, the Lord is far away, but he is very near also. The Lord is present in the spiritual sky, which is located beyond the material sky, far, far away. Yes, I think there is a disturbance. Can I mute? Sorry. Mataji, can you please mute yourself? So he is far, far away, right? We cannot even surpass the material sky. Then what to speak of reaching the spiritual sky? So despite being so far away, if the Lord desires, he can at once come in the middle world in front of us. See, a very simple example, which we saw in this purport of 12.5. Actually, in the purport of 12.5, if you read, it is there. Prabhupada gives. He says, we find many mailboxes on the street. Those days, the red boxes were there, right? Posting letters. Many mailboxes. And if we post our letters in one of these mailboxes, they will naturally reach the destination. Sorry. But any unauthorized mailbox, it will not work in the same way. If it is an unauthorized, you put the letter, it will not reach. But so similarly, the Lord has an authorized representation in the deity form, Archa Vigraha. So Lord Krishna accepts service through the deity form. So in this way, he is near in the form of Archa Vigraha. So in Bhagavatam 1:13-54, very beautiful verse. It says, one who has controlled the sitting postures, the yogic asanas, and the breathing process, they can turn the senses toward the absolute personality of Godhead and thus become immune to the contamination of the modes of material nature, which is namely mundane goodness, passion, and ignorance. So he very nicely mentioned in the purport by Prabhupada that by the preliminary activities of the way of yoga, one will be able to engage all his senses in the service of the supreme enjoyer, Krishna. And this process directly helps the devotee to get freedom from the what? Contamination of the three material modes of nature, passion, ignorance, and goodness. So being part and parcel of Krishna, it's our birthright. It's actually the birthright of every human being to be devotee by nature and perform devotional service to please the supreme enjoyer. Correct? So to perform devotional service, our mind must be purified. But before purifying our mind, we need to purify our senses by means of yoga. So actually the yoga system is a mechanical way to control the senses and the mind and then convert them from matter to spirit. So the best practical example of meditation and yoga has been given by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada says, a person who is in full Krishna consciousness, engaged in devotional service to the Lord, like chanting, performing Mangalarti, cooking prasadam, sometimes washing dishes or cleaning the temple, such persons who engage their body, mind, and intelligence in service of Krishna are called Bhakti Yogis. These are practical explanations. That's why we saw in the third verse, in this chapter 12.3, Maya Vesha Mano Yemam Nitya Yukta Upasate Shraddhaya Parayo Petas Teme Yukta Tamamataha. The Supreme Personality of God has said, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be most perfect. So to attend Mangalarti, we need to wake up early in the morning. So those who are early to bed and early to rise, what they will acquire? Strength, intelligence, wealth, knowledge, and his body will also remain happy and healthy by getting up early in the morning and doing Mangalarti. See, by chanting in a sitting position, one can unknowingly perform the pranayama asana. See, pranayama asana means one can perform in sitting posture and meditate upon the spiritual thoughts with the manipulation of air passing within the body, right? And gradually situated they'll be in trance, they will face the absolute person known as Paramatma. Paramatma means the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself, in the heart of everyone. So by performing the physical services, like cleaning the temple, cleaning vessels of prasadam, other devotional service, which includes the bodily stress, it can help to maintain our body from being obesity, protects us from various diseases. So these are practical examples by which one can realize personally and also hearing from those devotees who suffered various sicknesses, right? And became perfectly all right by performing such simple service. I remember some years back in Rajkot, when my Maharaj was also there, one devotee was suffering from fever. And due to sickness, he didn't attend the morning Bhagavatam class of Maharaj at Shri Radha Nilmada Udam, right? So Maharaj ignored his absence and went on with his Bhagavatam class. After completing the class, Maharaj requested one of the devotees to bring him to the temple. He was sick. So Maharaj suggested that when he came, you take a broomstick, start sweeping the temple hall. At that time, I was wondering, he's suffering from fever. Why Maharaj is suggesting him to sweep the temple hall? So when I went to my place, the whole day I was questioning myself, why Maharaj told him so? The next day I was surprised to see that the devotee was perfectly all right. When I inquired the devotee, he told me, because he performed some physical activities the previous day. So this statement cleared all my doubts. So one should not be disturbed with activities or modes of nature. Instead of putting his consciousness into such activities, he may transfer his consciousness to Krishna activities. Krishna activities are known as Bhakti Yoga, which means always acting for Krishna. So the more we are intimately attached with Krishna, the more we receive reciprocation from Krishna. See, my Maharaj used to give an example of an electric bulb, which is connected with the meter of the transformer. So which reflects the full capacity, voltage. So if the bulb is loosely connected to the transformer or the power supply, the power supply will be weak, right? Either the bulb will not glow, or in the worst case, it will have a very dim light. So to get the bulb to grow brightly, connection should be strong and perfect. So in the same way, the body of a devotee must be sound to follow the devotional service at its fullest, right? By establishing strong connection with Supreme Lord Krishna. How? By rendering devotional service such as performing Mangala Arati, studying Bhagavad-gītā and Bhagavatam, serving the devotees physically, right? Doing all the activities in the temple. So the Maharaj concluded a very beautiful statement. He said, to have sound body is not the goal of our life. That's what we are doing. Gym and so many things, to walking 10,000 steps. To have sound body is not the goal of our life. But to have Krishna in our sound body is the only goal of our life. So pure devotee who always concentrates upon the personal form of Krishna and who worships him with faith and devotion is to be considered the most perfect in yoga. See, whatever he does not let even a single moment pass without devoting his activities to Krishna. And such action is called samadhi. So we have to find, this is a very important statement. To have sound body is not the goal of our life, but to have Krishna in our sound body is the only goal of our life. Karantara Srimad Bhagavad-gītā ki jai Shri Prabhupada. Vancha kalpatarubhishya kripa sindhu bhayevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnava anantakuri vaishnava. Thank you very much, Prabhupada. This is for giving this opportunity to glorify Krishna and purify ourselves. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Dandavat Pranam.